What's up, YouTube? It's Pastor Bob. I figure I might as well have a seat and address something. So, anyway, this video is a little bit out of the norm, and I usually don't speak on the topic very much. But lately, some people have been asking me some questions, and I think from an old veterans, combat veterans point of view, I wanted to give my take on it. And I believe from over 10 years of experience of being in the United States military and being a disabled vet myself, I have a well-rounded viewpoint of addressing this subject. And the subject is having a draft, trying to pass a draft bill in 2025 for certain age groups. It's, coming from a combat veteran's point of view, all the training that I've received, places that I've been, 2 different war zones, dealing with multiple issues myself, not everybody is cut out to wear the camos. Not everybody is built to be a combat soldier. During combat, even some of the best trained soldiers, and I've seen this, freak out. Don't know what to do when they're being shot at, when explosions are going off, when people are dying, when people are getting injured. It's just mass chaos, and not everybody can keep it together. And in those situations, unfortunately, other soldiers can be themselves either injured or killed by other U.S. troops. I've seen it. I lived it. I know that it can happen. So, if the U.S. government's thinking about doing a draft and all of a sudden we get into a war and you're going to push these people through, 4 weeks of boot camp and then probably for certain MOSs, because they're going to have an MOS, even through infantry, you have to do outside of your basic training, you have to go through an MOS. Whether it be 12 Bravo, 11 Bravo, 11 Charlie, 55 Echo, 55 Delta, 62 Juliet, 62 Fox, 77 Lima, whatever it may be, right? As your specialty. There's a certain amount of months that's required for you to go through that training. Now, you can't speed up that training. Granted, when you come out of that training, whatever it may be, you should be pretty well prepared, but that's just the initial process of it. Actually knowing your military occupational specialty comes from years of being a part of it and being repetitive in whatever that job is. Take it from me. I had multiple MOSs. I cross-trained into a lot of MOSs. You see me with a lot of guitars and stuff around. I don't show. Maybe I wear my hat or I wear a shirt once in a while, which I use for everything. It's pretty obvious, right? Look, I was with some of the best in the world. And I relied on them. They had my back, right? They pulled me through some rotten situations. And those guys that were there, they know. They know exactly. Everything that I'm telling you is a fact. It's a truth. That being said, when you draft people and you put them through a situation, which a lot of them may not even want to be there, more than likely that will be the situation. We've seen that during Vietnam, maybe not so much World War I or World War II or the Korean War, but I don't think, looking at this generation, I'm not saying that everybody fits into this category. For those people who do not fit into what category that I'm about to mention for your age group, from 18 to 28, I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying most that I look and I see as a pastor. I look out there and I see they're not ready for it. Mentally, physically, emotionally. I don't care how prepared you think you are. When you get stuck in a battle zone, look, somebody sits down and gets you a sit rep and you're going into, the shitstorm, pardon me for saying it. Look, unless you've been in battle with other people and you know exactly how they're going to react, and they're hardened mentally, physically, emotionally, they got all the boxes checked, you ain't going to trust them. I don't care if you're wearing an American flag on, both shoulders. I don't care if you got an eagle facing in and facing out. It doesn't make you mentally prepared for every situation. I think it's a bad idea. Do I think it's a bad idea of coming up with a good system to make it more rewarding for people to go into the military and to want to go into the military and receive the same type of discipline and training that I have to be able to survive, live, and be happy and support my family, make them comfortable, and be able to secure my household? Yeah, I think that's important. So I sat down and I thought about it. I said, why don't they make a system where you have to spend a year in reserves or National Guard of whatever branch of service it may be? Hear me out now. And for each year that you serve, the U.S. government will pay for 1 year of college, up to and not exceeding 4 years of college. At the same time, they will pay your medical, your dental, and your eye vision care for as long as you're in the military. So that's a big chunk of change there. They're paying for all your military while you're serving, right? Or when you finish, if you do 4 years, you get 4 years of college. It's paid for at any technical college or state-run campus. So I think this is an incentive. For one, the military is getting a well-trained soldier, right? Or a good trained soldier, I should say. The soldier's getting a benefit from it. And at the same time, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, they go for training. So their mind's still active, but they're not out on the battlefield. And it may come that they may be activated and they may have to go to combat. But they build camaraderie within whatever that state is, whether it's reserves or National Guard, they build camaraderie within that unit and those people. It's not pushed into them. They know these people. They serve these people. They're in their community. And I think that there would be more, I think it would probably be a safer position putting them in combat rather than to draft them, throw them through the bucket and the ringer for the gauntlet. Give them a weapon and tell them to go out there and you're fighting for freedom. Not necessarily United States government freedom, but freedom in general. Not for America, but freedom in general. I mean, I would hope that wouldn't come down to that. But it just makes more sense to me. Offering people an incentive to join rather than to try to drag them into something when they're not prepared, and you know that they're not going to scan these people very well. You don't know if you have, people with mental handicaps, physical handicaps, and you know how it works, man. Look, if you're in that kind of situation, you're just going to take bodies, right? And there's some things you just can't teach people. Some people, you can't teach them how to survive. You can't teach them how to be a warrior. You just can't. It takes time. And with some people, combat is not the field to be in. Just because people join the military doesn't necessarily mean they ever see combat. I've known people who served, 20 years in the military, never seen combat. There was combat going on, but they never seen combat. Some people never left the States. Never left the States. And so there are positions in the military where, people will never see combat. So even though they join, and they have to, pass an ASVAB, an aptitude test. The aptitude test, tells, well, how does this person think? How well are they to retain information? And that's really important. Because if you're going to teach land nav to somebody, you want them to have some retainability. Your phone isn't always going to work. You're not always going to have a signal in combat, nor are you ever always going to use a phone or some kind of communication device in combat. And what if you lose it and you're in the middle of, the jungle somewhere, and you need to figure out how you're going to get out of there? And you can't read the map because they just blew you through a course, and now you're stuck out in the middle of no man's land, 5 or 6 days away from, civilization. How are you going to survive? I mean, that's probably the most extreme situation, but you got to think outside the box, I don't see it as the right option. I really don't. I think a lot of people are going to be put into harm's way because people didn't think it through. I think there's better options that could be put out on the table, so you can retain people who want to be there, want to be around good soldiers, want to be around seasoned veterans, combat veterans, who can, when I say this, don't take it wrong, can mold them into being a good soldier. And not just a good soldier, but a good person in general. So that when they're done with their military service and they come back to the civilian world, maybe some of that will rub off to friends and family that never served in the military. And it does happen that way. It really does. So I just think it's a bad idea. I'm not a warmonger by no means. I wish, after seeing what I've seen in combat, I wish we never had to go to war. But that's not going to happen. Because as long as there's bad people out there who have no respect and no care for human life, or fairness, or democracy, there's always going to be a war. Always. Always be wars. So with that being said, I think it's more justified to bring something better to the table. I really think they need to hold off on it, not pass, any bill for a draft, and come up with a better situation. And I think, maybe doing, if you do a year, you get a year's worth of college. You do 2, you get 2 years. 3 years. 4 years. With a max of 4 years. Who knows? Maybe along the line they want to go active duty. Maybe they see something in there that they say, wow, you know what? I could see myself doing this full time. Maybe they want to see the world. It's a good way to see the world. I've been all over the place. I've been to a lot of different countries. I served in Europe for 5 years in Germany. I've been all over Europe. South Korea. I've been in Japan. Hawaii. I've been all over the place. So, without being in the military, I probably would have never been able to see it. Never been able to do it. Never been able to experience that. Do I think that war is something that everybody should experience? No, I don't. I don't think it is. I'm just glad that I was trained well enough and prepared well enough, and I had some hardcore war hardened veterans, Vietnam veterans, 4 tours in Vietnam, that really had my head screwed on. I served with real warriors, real heroes. I mean, some of the best of the best. And, my hat's off to them. I owe them my life because I got through all of those hard times because of them. And it's not all about war. It's about everyday life of living in the military. You got to be at certain places at certain times. You have to understand authority. And whether you like the authority or not, you listen. Okay? Leave all that woke stuff behind. All that far left thinking. There's no need for it. I think a lot of that comes from people wanting to be seen and wanting to be recognized. To be honest with you. Doesn't mean I don't love those people any less. It means I just don't like their lifestyles or the way that they conduct themselves. Doesn't mean I don't love them. And there ain't nothing in the Bible that says I have to like anybody. It says I gotta love them, but it doesn't say I gotta like them. And that's the same thing in the military. You serve with people that, depending on whatever your faith belief is, mine being a Christian, I have to love them, but I don't have to like them. And I think liking people is important too. Because when you're serving with people, you might not like where they come from, or the way that they speak, or the color of their skin, or whatever their background is. And that can cause a lot of problems, right? And a lot of issues. Although the military has a pretty good handle on that kind of situation, there's no need for it, right? There's no need to steer the pot. But if a person really wants to be there, and there's a goal that they can reach, not just in the military, but outside of the military, from them serving, it makes their stay in the military and being able to tolerate things they would never otherwise tolerate. I think that's a better option. I mean, I think that you need to go to, I think the U.S. government needs to go to the think tank, sit down, look at wars from past, right? Look at what works and what doesn't work. What's in this world today, in the technology that we have today, and how far advanced we have come from 100 years ago. It's not the same world. And see what they can offer, you know, the generations here and now. That's really important. They don't fight the same way as we fought. They don't technically, we didn't have the technical abilities and the technology that they have today. We had technology, I'm not saying that we didn't, but they're so far advanced today. So, you know, we need people that want to do it and can do it. So, I would ask, you know, anybody that's listening to this that may be in the U.S. government, please take some time to think about what you're about to do and make a better plan. Think it through. I don't think the American people would have a problem with you supporting a really good idea like I brought up. Look, we spend all kinds of money for people in other countries, you know, to defend democracy around the world. We spend trillions and trillions of dollars helping other people. What's another $1 trillion for us to train our people right and take care of our people and give them a great incentive? Look, that's money in the bank. Out there ain't money in the bank. But for our own people, it sure is. Invest in your own people. And later on, they'll become citizens. Maybe they'll start their own businesses or corporations. Who knows? But it stays here. It stays in America. We can be proud of that. A lot of us old combat vets, old veterans just in general, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, we sit back and watch. Not everybody says everything. Not everybody voices their opinion, at least openly. But you can believe that they're thinking and they're talking amongst each other. Because, look, I'm living proof that, you know, they're talking. You know, and they're not happy. They're not. They're not happy about a lot of things that are going on. And that can cause a problem too. You think not? You think they don't remember all that training? They do. They absolutely do. Muscle memory. Anyways, I just wanted to, you know, give my opinion, what I think. I guess I'm the voice of other veterans, you know, non-combat veteran and combat veterans that said things to me, and I said, well, you know, maybe I should say something and bring it up. And some of these ideas, you know, that I brought up are not just my ideas, they're other veterans' ideas that amongst our circle, talking to one another, you know, they brought up in conversation. Now, if they can bring this up in a conversation, amongst all of us, then maybe they need to bring some people into the think tank that are ex-military, from the Army, from the Navy, from the Air Force, from the Marines, from the Coast Guard. You know, bring in several people from the different branches and ask them how they feel. You know, talking with troops and what they've seen over the years, what may work, what won't work. Because a bunch of politicians that have no time in the blood, they have no clue. You can't learn combat from a movie. You can't learn combat from a book. You can't learn combat from a story. The only way that you can learn combat is go foot to ass and have your feet in them boots yourself. That is the only way that you'll learn real military combat. Am I saying that people can't have the same types of PTSD from the civilian world and have an emotional distress from certain situations? No, I'm not saying that. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm talking about being in the military and experiencing military combat. I'm not talking about civilian combat. That's a whole different story. And that's one that I don't talk about. But, you know, on a weekly basis, being who I am, I understand that type of combat too. Talking about only military here. So, hopefully somebody out there is listening to me and, you know, may see some validity to what I'm bringing forward on my channel and voicing my opinion. Because I'd hate to see people go out there and, against their own will and for all the wrong reasons. You know, this didn't come free. I earned it. I earned the right to wear the hat, right? And when you earn something, you don't wear it just for you. You wear it for all the other people that you serve with. And some of them you can't bring back. And that type of emotional distress that you have to live with for the rest of your life is not easy. Sending children, I call them children because I'm an old guy, but to meet their death, because that's basically what you're going to do. We should be way beyond that. Way beyond that. Do I think being in the military is a good thing? For some it is. Not for all. I just don't believe that. You know, I've seen things that not even in combat that cost people their lives because people wasn't properly trained. And then later on they find out that they should have never been in the military. So that's really all I have to say. And I hope that there's a lot of you out there that agree with me. And if you don't, well, then we can agree to disagree, I guess. But I'm coming from my point of view and my friends' points of view. And these are not no cherries. These are men and women who serve their country with dignity, loyalty, and a love of their country. And I think a lot of that is missing in today's society. So from us to you, please think it through. Don't send our kids to their death. We don't deserve that. If you want to, admire us and look at the next generation. If you really truly care about what we've done, how we've served, and the blood that we gave, and the children, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, lives that we gave, so that the people of this nation can be free, then I ask you to think it through. And with that, I'm Pastor Bob, and that's really all I have to say. Take care. God bless. I'm out of here. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.